So today we're going to talk a little finance, how to improve the pocket, wallet, purse, whatever it may be. I have the financial healer on the show today. Her name is Dr. Wendy Lebat. She is one of the best out here. She has a lot of wisdom and knowledge in this field. Wendy, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Tim, and thank you for having me. I'm excited about being your guest today.
Oh wow, I'm happy about that. Yeah. So Wendy, we spoke a while ago, and I saw you on a few other programs. You made some very good points. I want you to share some things today with me as far as finances. Just give a little bit of background about yourself and how you became a person that's so savvy in finances and helping people to get it together.
Well, my entrepreneurial journey started 36 years ago when I opened a business with no business experience and limited financial resources. Back then, there was no social media or internet, and the only thing you could do with a cell phone was make an expensive call.
Okay.
So I pursued a corporate clientele, and during that time, you had to have the brick and mortar, your employees, inventory, and all the overhead that went with it. Mm-hmm. And those expenses had to be paid whether you had, sales or not, or made any money or not. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't have that, you were considered as a mom and pop or operation, and you weren't considered for the big contracts. And of course, I wanted the big contracts. So as time went on, before I landed the big contracts, I got orders that, helped me get through, but still, like I said, you had those expenses you had to meet regardless. And your clients, my vendors would allow me maybe a 10-day term to pay them for the inventory I purchased, but my clients wanted to pay me in 30 days. So it was like I was financing their, purchases. Mm-hmm. And, I had to negotiate with them and say, look, I'm a small business trying to grow, and I can't carry you like that. So you can get, creative. I got to a point where a lot of my clients, we had a good relationship. They started paying me, COD or having the check ready before the order or when the order was placed, and, just got thought outside the box.
Yes,
so,
yes.
I learned how to, like I said, kind of take control over my finances, make my money work for me, like I said, strategize to think outside the box to be able to help my business grow without getting that outside source of income.
I understand.
So it worked out pretty good.
Okay. Now, Wendy, let me ask you this, because like right now today, if you had to name the top 3 things or places that people waste money right now that can affect their business if they're trying to be an entrepreneur, can you give me 3 areas?
Well, for one, it just really depends on what they're doing, and my whole approach is to first diagnose your financial health. Mm-hmm. So there's no set 3 things that, like one size fits all. You have to look at what they're doing, what their income is, the expenses, and how much they're spending. Because when I did my focus group for my book, I asked entrepreneurs, a group of entrepreneurs, male and female, if you needed, what was the thing you needed most to help your business grow? And they all said money.
Okay.
But, a lot of them were like, okay, I got this $10 million contract. But you have to understand, just because you got a $10 million contract doesn't mean that it's a profitable contract. So you have to look at, your cost to deliver that contract. You have to look at your expenses. You have to look at the numbers. So you have to diagnose your financial health. And until you do that, you really can't say what it is you need or where you need to, modify. So I don't, give a one size fits all answer for that. I just say, let's diagnose your financial health, and then we can go from there.
Okay. So, but from what you've seen, is it eating out too much, paying too much for a car, living in a place too expensive? Are those some of the areas that you help people diagnose?
Yes, but I think one thing is that they look at, like I was talking to one guy, and we were talking about how you can, cut back on your expenses. I said, well, like eating out, especially if it's not a business related, or if it is a business related. He said, well, that's a tax write-off. It's like, yes, a tax write-off, but hell, if your cash flow is tight, you don't want to, wait till you file your taxes to get any benefit from that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, really think of the situation you're in. You have to say, what am I trying to do? And like I said, eating out is a factor. I have one client that, I'd give him a spending challenge.
Okay.
And, everybody give them a spending challenge, but he took it and he came back to me and he said, Wendy, I'm spending $800 a month eating out. And these weren't all business lunches and
Mm-hmm.
dinners, and it wasn't that he couldn't afford to pay it, but he realized $800 a month, he could be doing something else with it. He could be, more efficient with those dollars.
Okay.
So that's one thing, and then another thing is just realizing your sources of income. I've got some clients that before working with me, they were flying all over the place and staying in hotels and like eating in restaurants, but they weren't taking advantage of the rewards and loyalty programs.
Got you. I want to get to that because that's one of the things I heard you talk about before. But how do you get a person who's been used to spending like that to break that habit? Is it because of a lack of education as far as finances? Is that what you?
It's not really a lack of education. It's a transformation of their mindset. I mean, because some people can know what to do, but just don't do it. You have to decide, commit, and act.
Okay.
And I find that a lot of people know what to do. They just don't do it. And you have to, it's just like losing weight,
Yeah, but do you think, but do you think most people make enough money to finance their business or whatever? They're just not managing the money right? Because a lot of people feel like some people come into a job and feel like I should come through the door making $50 an hour. But a lot of times they can make enough. They're just not spending properly. Right. Is that would you say that's valid?
And that is valid. That's very valid. That's why we diagnose your financial health, because most people say, I can't afford it. But when you really look at it, they can afford it. They just have to redirect funds from, things that they want versus spending them on things that they need. So, that's it. It's the transformation of the mind, the discipline, and the habits that you create.
Okay.
And it's difficult. It's not easy, but it has to be done if you want to move ahead.
So let me ask you this question. I don't think I've ever asked anyone this before. When you go online, like YouTube and different things like that, and you see all these ads pop up, all these people, this is a great time to start your business, and everyone's saying start a business. I don't believe everyone is supposed to start a business. What do you think about that?
I agree. Everybody's not an entrepreneur. Everybody's not supposed to be a business owner. There are a lot of people that are supposed to be working a job. There's a lot of people, that's their calling. You have to do what's best for you. Just because me being an entrepreneur is good for me doesn't mean that's good for you. So no, everybody can't be an entrepreneur because they're not all wired that way. That's not their calling. So, starting a business is good. It's even one of the multiple streams of income you may have, but it may not be your major source. You need to have some kind of business, but it doesn't mean that it's your main source of income. And it doesn't mean that you have to be structured. Some people do well with, rental properties, being a landlord. That's a good source, but they still keep their, full-time job. So it just depends on what they're trying to achieve, what their calling is, because that's a key thing. If you're not called to do it, it's not going to work out.
Absolutely.
So those are, two factors.
Okay. Now the story, you told a pretty interesting story about the rewards. You was about to get into it earlier, but if you can can you tell that story about how you use the rewards points and how it benefited you? Because that's something I really want you to talk about today. Okay.
Well, I am an avid believer in, that's a way to make your money work for you. No matter what you do, whether you paying your bills or grocery shopping, buying gas, traveling, eating out, those companies and stores and banks, they have loyalty and cash back type programs. You want to get involved in every one. If you walk in a store, if you never go in that store again, you want to take advantage of whatever promotional as far as rewards is concerned. Now, for me, they tease me because I'm the rewards queen, and that's okay. But this particular time, I had a conference in Chicago. I live in Atlanta.
Mhm.
I, have my Southwest points, and what would have cost me almost $500 for that round trip ticket from Atlanta to Chicago cost me $5.60 each way. So I spent $11.20 for a round trip ticket that would have cost me almost $500.
Amazing.
Now I'm a Marriott person, and I'm at the titanium level. So that means that I get upgrades automatically. But I have points, I got the credit card and timeshare and all that stuff. So I booked my trip, my hotel stay at not just like a brand like, Fairfield Inn or anything like this. This was a full service Marriott facility. So when I got there, they checked me in and I got upgraded to a suite. And that suite would have cost me about $550 a night. I was there, 7 nights. And not only did I have the suite, but as being a titanium member, I also got to eat in the club room. Now, the club room for breakfast, they had the smoked salmon, they had quiche, they had, fresh pastries, fresh fruit, all kind of drinks and everything. And, what would have cost me to eat those kind of things in the restaurant downstairs would have been about $40 or $50 a day.
Wow.
But I got that as part of my, perks from being a titanium member. So it's those kind of things. So that whole hotel stay with the meals that I would have paid money for would have cost me, like I said, almost $4,000. So that trip would have cost me, $4,500 or almost $5,000. But the bottom line, it really only cost me $11.20. So that's the kind of stuff that I don't know about you, but I was able to do something else with that.
Absolutely.
$500. And it's not going to be that grand all the time.
Uh-huh.
But, my banner here, and I like to tell this story because, I was going to order it just from Office Depot and it was going to cost me $300. But because I had a coupon and the rewards, cashback rewards, it only cost me $144. So it's those kind of things when you get into that kind of mindset and operate in that mode, you're saving money, which is allowing you to do other things with your money. And that's how, you can afford things, that $5,000, I was able to do a whole lot of stuff.
Wow. That's so cool because even little things like that people just dismiss. I know I'm guilty of, throwing those reward cards away and not using them when you go to the store when you want to scan it. 100%. I've done it 1,000 times. Just a few more points here and we'll wrap it up. One thing you said before about, how important you think, because I know you talk about generational wealth, and I definitely want to have you back on so we can get into that a little bit more. But even having the proper life insurance and stuff for family members and stuff like that, can you just touch on that a little bit, how the importance of that and how that's something that we kind of overlook that's really needed?
And I call it proper protection because it's more than life insurance. You have to insure your health, your life, and your finances. Now, people will spend all kind of money insuring their cell phone, their cars. But when it comes to their life or health, they're like, okay, I don't need that. But it's like, that's the most important because if you're down, your money is down. And I'm going to tell my story, in which is why I'm on this crusade. Now, I expanded my business back in 2014 when the Obamacare, legislation was passed. It mandated that employers, provide health insurance for their employees and that all individuals had to have health insurance. So, I got involved in that. So I, got into insurance and financial services business. And, I bought all the products I was trying to sell other people. And it was mainly because I didn't want to be a hypocrite. And it was from a business perspective. It wasn't that I thought I need this, but I got it from me and my family because I figure, and I have had people say, well, where's your money? What do you have? And I was able to, as I was approaching them about it, it's like, this is the plan I got, which was the top of the line. So you need to have this too. And in 2017, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And my chemotherapy bills were $67,000 every 3 weeks for a year.
Wow.
But I don't know about you, but that could have ruined me financially.
Absolutely.
But because I had the proper protection, my health insurance paid all of that. I underwent 5 surgeries. I had MRIs, CAT scans, mammograms, everything, that you could imagine. And those costs were almost $300,000 in addition to the chemotherapy bills. But because I had the good health insurance, I didn't have to pay anything more than my deductible, which was low.
Wow.
And I had supplemental protection that brought me a significant and it wasn't a million, but it was significant money that was tax free that allowed me to be able to, focus on my recovery and not worry about bills.
Less stress.
Yeah. And then, 60% of people file bankruptcy because of medical bills, and 80% of them have health insurance. So you have to know there's a difference between owning or having health insurance and using them. And if you don't know the difference, you'll find out when those bills start hitting.
Wow. So, you're 100% right on that one. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, Wendy, before we wrap, do you have information you want to put out that people can contact you for services or?
I do. Matter of fact, I have a gift for all your listeners and viewers.
All right.
I'm offering a 20-minute free or complimentary strategy session.
Okay.
If you text the word TALK, TALK, to 770-796-4944. That's TALK to 770-796-4944. And you can also, look me up on social media. I'm on the Financial Cures on Facebook, Dr. Wendy Labat on Facebook, Wendy Labat on Facebook, Dr. Wendy Labat on LinkedIn, and dr.wendy.labat on Instagram. Right. And then my website is thefinancialcures.com.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Wendy, for joining me today. I'll post all your links and number to text in the comments below. And thank you so much. I appreciate you for taking the time out with TIMO today to stop by and join the show. We'll definitely talk soon. I may have to take advantage of your services and wisdom myself. I can always use a few pointers here and there.
Well, I appreciate it. And thank you for having me. And I'll be glad to, work with some of your viewers, because it's an important time. People need to really take control of their finances.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, Wendy.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.